And on the back straightaway into turn 3, Miller starts to pull away 0.2 of a second behind the Mike Stevens in the 63, Richard Hines in the 87. He's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack up underneath Stevens. And Tanner Sharp follows from behind. Not the season that Tanner Sharp would have wanted. Just has not really been much of a factor this year, but he's trying to get a victory before the season's out, running 9th right now.
Yeah, he's trying to look to the outside of Richard Hines. Hines really loose in 3 and 4, trying to hold that inside lane. Seeing a lot of the guys getting that, I think, putting so much wheel in, getting all the gas, is getting these cars loose there. So some guys struggling when they're side by side, but so far clean and green over the first few laps.
Clark closing back in on James Miller. I wonder, tire conservation will probably be a big deal here tonight with the abrasive old surface and the temperatures that we're working with. Pretty high up there. Having a look at the weather, 105-degree temperatures are going to just burn the rubber right up. So if you're good on the long run, Finian, I think you're the driver to pick. And Race Clark, I think, knows that this is going to be a long run game tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing Justin Coe back in 3rd because notably at Rockingham, which is the race that I covered for you, and I was watching that race, he was probably one of the worst drivers when it came to tire conservation. But as you see, on below the yellow line is Race Clark trying to take the lead, and that's really iffy. These guys are already struggling on a little bit of banking that's there in 3 and 4, and you have no banking on the apron. Didn't really work for the 22.
Yeah, you'll see drivers try that a lot here. They'll get up underneath the banking to help the car rotate. And that worries me a little bit that Race Clark is already experimenting with that, because that tells me that he's feeling the front end push, Finian, and he's looking for more front end grip, and you're just not going to get it. The best you had was on lap 1. It's going to go away from here.
Yeah, and so what I was saying is, though, with Justin Coe, he was one of the first guys to burn out their tires and fall back through the field like a rock. And so I'm interested in keeping my eye on him inside the top 3, looking for a second now as he makes the dive up the inside of Race Clark, who's looking to try to gather his stuff back up to make a charge. He's actually still holding on that outside lane, which, again, as you said, the preferred line for these drivers.
Into turn 3, 8 laps complete. The field is sort of spread out single file now. There's Hines going back up underneath the 63 for 7th, and Tanner Sharp watching from behind. See the 87 even getting a bit on the apron there to try to get that car to rotate. Now a slide on exit. Drag race into turn 1.
Who's going to win that drag race? Looks like Steven's going to be on the outside. Hines going to try to dive it up the inside. It's so hard. You want to get back on the gas too early, but again, we've seen these guys spin out many times, I imagine many times in practice, so they're being a little bit conservative. Again, also trying to conserve the tires. And you see Tanner Sharp. Is he going to make it 3 wide? That's not going to work.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to make the dive up there, but he thought better of it. And you see him now trying to pull even with the 63 of Mike Stevens. Up at the front, no changes. Battle for 8th is still ongoing. Tanner Sharp has the nose ahead into turn 1. You know what's interesting now is what I'm noticing is that the outside was the place to be on the restart. The inside seems to be the place to go for the long run. That's kind of backwards from what you'd usually think.
Yeah, it really is. I think it's only going to change more and more as the tires start to wear out. And I'd say different kind of strategy approach, especially if guys start running the outside lane more, the inside lane more, as if it starts to rubber up, guys may be searching more and more for grip due to the dynamic track.
Half a second lead for James Miller. You see the drivers in the chase, the playoff system lit up in blue. Again, we eliminated 6 drivers a couple weeks ago. We're down to our final 6. It's just an all-out points battle to the end of the season, and there is one of our competitors, Matt Grunberg, in the number 54. He started this race in 15th. He's climbed 5 spots, and he starts in the back a lot here, Finian, but I'm just not sure with 2 races left that you want to be in this spot as the 63 gets in the fence. Grunberg goes by. Grunberg is down in 4th in the standings. Looks like he is 8 back from Race Clark. I don't like that starting in the back process here with only 2 rounds left. If you want to win the championship, you got to qualify.
Yeah, I think you could try to tell him many times to qualify. He's just not going to. I think you start giving him more incentive to qualify. Maybe you'll see him get back out on the track and put down a qualifying time. But we've seen it time and time again. Doesn't really affect him. This 54 too much. Usually around the halfway point, he starts to get near the front, if not in the front of the field. And it's still pretty early on. He's moved himself up from 15th and 9th in only 13 laps. He's still got 150 left on the clock. So we'll see if he can get through the front, which I think he can. The big thing, though, is seeing how, if anything, how far Miller, Clark, and even Coe, for that matter, can try to pull away, because they're putting down pretty decent times at the moment.
Yeah, really, I guess the big question is, Race Clark has the points lead, so if he can keep Miller and Grunberg behind him for the rest of the season, it really doesn't matter what they do. So Race Clark sits in second. He's lost some ground to James Miller, but again, we're so early in this race, I'm not sure that we know who's really the best driver out there just yet. I will note that lap times are dropping off very quickly, already a second off of our best times of the night. We're only 14 laps in, so double that distance, 28 laps in. You're going to be 2 seconds off pace. You might want to really consider how you attack this race from a strategy perspective.
I'm curious to see what these guys are going to do for tires, because obviously, you know, the modern pit stops around 12, 14 seconds in that window. These tires stops around these with these cars take what, almost 22 seconds, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So you see guys maybe might want to take that into consideration. Maybe only do 2 tires, depending on how the tires are wearing. Because I'm not, I don't know how these tires are wearing. Imagine the right side are definitely taking beating. Curious how the left sides are looking.
I'm also watching the brake rotors in this 09 already glowing pretty hot. That's going to raise those front tire temperatures and burn them off quicker. I think we've seen larger drop off at the smaller tracks because of the braking that you're using and all the heat that you're putting into the tires. Pretty significant loads. Behind them, Matt Grunberg, Tanner Sharp continuing to battle for 8th place. I think Grunberg will win this fight 16 laps into this race. And again, we're probably going to see fairly short runs here. I think we might see them try to split this into 2 stops, pit at lap 50 and lap 100. But we could see them come in sooner because 50 laps seems like a long way to go on those tires.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing too, because back at Rockingham, you're gonna hear me talk about Rockingham a lot because that's the only race I got to go off with these guys. But at that race, it came down to not a race of fuel mileage, but it came down to really tire strategy, and pretty much everyone came in except for Corey Lindsay, and he stayed out, led the race, but had a tire blowout, unfortunately, in the last 15 laps, almost won the thing. So we might see, again, the tires being more important than the fuel for these guys just because they're wearing out so much, especially talking about how old the surface is, how hot it is. It's pretty much curious to get an update on that and see if it's gotten any hotter.
Yeah, the weather looks like it has actually come down a little bit, 103-degree track temperatures. I'm curious to see if that will kind of fluctuate throughout the night. Going back to Brent Miller here in this number 89 car, finished second last week at Talladega, and he was really the guy that set the firecracker off in the party house. As they came out of turn 4, the Team AV teammates were locked nose to tail, and Brent Miller just charged through them and disrupted the whole plan. And that was what allowed Race Clark to sneak through at the very end and get that victory. So Brent Miller made it exciting last week. He runs 6th right now after he started this race in 7th, so 1 spot forward. But Matt Grunberg is starting to climb up more spots, has his sights set on Richard Hines.
I'm curious to see how patient he's going to be. I imagine he is, because he's got a lot of laps left on the clock. See if he tries to go to the inside here of Hines. Hines started to struggle a little bit. You see him drift to the outside. Grunberg trying to gas it up on the exit, not quite able to get there.
Keep an eye on the 54 here as he goes into turn 3. Maybe we'll keep an eye for turn 1 entrance. I wanted to watch the gear selection here. Now, Phoenix is a track that you see a lot of shifting at Pocono, but never really at Phoenix. Well, watch this into turn 1. Grunberg's going to go into turn 1, go down a gear here at the bottom, and then he'll throttle back up. So he's getting more torque out of that rear end, and he's able to accelerate off faster. I bet you that all the teammates are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I imagine so, and I guess we'll see if it is going to... I'm guessing it is benefiting them, especially with Miller. Take a look here up in the lead. And like you said, it would be... Imagine that the teammates would be sharing the strategy, at least, of driving. No, looks like he's contending for it here.
So now that we know that the teammates are not pulling the same strategy, here's a look. James Miller's last lap time was a 31.268, a 31.4 for Matt Grunberg. So it's not necessarily faster, but it's definitely different. Fisher and Justin Kolb were battling for second a moment ago. They've gotten that sorted out. Race Clark still maintains second spot. Last time by, he ran slightly quicker than the race leader. So again, maybe long run is what Race is planning for here.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I was a bit concerned, especially with the way he was driving early on in the run, if he was going to have enough tire for the long run, because he was pushing quite a bit. He has, it seems, backed it off, backed it down a notch to try to, again, as you're saying, to drag out the tires for this run. So we'll see if he can keep it up, and again, really just keeping Miller in check. He is looking, if anything, the second best car on the grid at the moment. We'll see if he can keep it there as we go back to Matt Grunberg chasing down Brent Miller.
Throttling up out of turn 4, Miller struggling with the grip in the rear tires, and Grunberg backing out up the road. Justin Kolb and Eisenman trading spots, move Eisenman up to 4th, and he worked heavily with Race Clark last week at the Talladega race, but they ended up getting separated for the latter half of it. They worked very well together, but no victory for Drew Eisenman in that race. Fought very hard with the 22. And having a look at Eisenman's season, he does not have any victories, but he still remains in the hunt for the championship in third. 7 points back from Race Clark, only 2 back from James Miller. But with the way James Miller has been going so far, I think he's probably the one to beat. Race Clark dropping out. Internet connectivity potentially for the 22.
Yeah, I think so, and it's been pretty long, so it might be it for him. That's unfortunate. After running in second place, even for the championship too, that's really gotta hurt.
Yeah, that's it. Race Clark off the racetrack now as we go back for Brent Miller and Matt Grunberg. For Race Clark to win Talladega, then come to Phoenix, drop out. That's going to take him out of the championship fight pretty much for good. I don't think that he'll be able to recover from that with how Miller and Grunberg tend to run. And mathematically, he'll be in a tough spot after tonight. Miller and Grunberg side by side at a turn 2 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Grunberg going to get clear of that. Miller not going to put up much of a fight, so Matt Grunberg up inside the top 5. And Clark has officially lost connection to the server.
That's always heartbreaking, and it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, it just hurts, especially because Race Clark didn't seem to have any connectivity issues, so it could be the cat unplugging the Ethernet cable or whatever it is, but I'm sure that Race Clark will no longer have a cat after tonight if that's the case.
Wow, that was really dark.
I'm just being honest. Into turn 3, working lap 26, Drew Eisenman trying to close down on Jeffrey Fisher. Was 2/10 better last time, although James Miller is running the fastest of the leaders now.
Yeah, this is always the interesting thing, seeing these guys push in certain parts of the run. Is this too soon, you might consider, or is this too late, I guess? Or we'll have to see here as Eisenman, he's trying to push on the 98 of Fisher, and Fisher, you can argue, has been maintaining good pace. We'll see now as Eisenman, even Coe for that matter, seems to start to be closing back in the picture, as well as Matt Grunberg back in 5th.
Big slide for Jeffrey Fisher on the entrance to the corner in that number 98 car. For Jeffrey Fisher, it's been a fairly good season by any measure. He sits 4th in the standings, only 1 spot out from dead last after a rough couple of weeks. But he does have a victory to his name, and that came all the way back at Daytona at the start of the season. Since then, his best finish has been 2nd. That was at the Charlotte Roval. He's finished 3rd 4 times and 2nd twice. So that just shows you how many times he probably should have won, but it was likely teammate James Miller beating him to the checkers every time.
Well, if Eisenman gets past him, he'll be looking at finishing 3rd or 5th time here, and I can't imagine he wants that. If anything, I can't imagine he wants to be 2nd either, but we have Miller 3.5 seconds up the road. He's been putting on a click so far this race. No one's been able to touch him. The only driver that could have probably touched him has lost connection to the server. I'm really disappointed by that. I think that's probably the first time I can think of that we've seen the championship leader lose connection. We've seen the race leader lose, but the championship leader I don't think we've seen yet.
Especially with so few rounds left in this championship, that's going to sting quite a bit. Good battle going on back here for 16th. Alex Boyd and Jeremiah Llewellyn. They are running down at the tail end of the lead lap. Corey Lindsay not too far ahead of them. But working towards our 20% mark of this race, and whoa, big dive for Llewellyn, going to go up the racetrack, almost into the wall. That wasn't going to work.
I also just wanted to give props to you for everyone on the track for keeping it clean and green. You can't imagine these cars are not easy to drive in the slightest, and especially considering they're not putting around here. They're going pretty hard and also racing each other pretty hard here. So you're going to get an example of that as Eisenman chasing down Fish. He's gotten pretty close here, but he hasn't been quite able to work his way on past. He's kind of hit a bit of a wall in behind the in behind the 98 car.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have done a really good job. These cars are so hard to handle. You should have been here for Talladega last week. The chaos that we saw, how sideways everyone was the entire night. Plate racing with these, well, I shouldn't say plate racing. Super speedway racing with these cars is one of the most entertaining things you can watch on SimTV. A lot of damage to Justin Kolb. I didn't see where he got this damage from.
This is definitely recent because he's dropped all the way back to 11th after running inside the top 5.
Yeah, so pretty major damage to the nose of that car and to the tail. So he's had a tank slapper somewhere. I don't see anybody else's cars with matching pieces.
Yeah. Oh, so he went for, okay, so this is what happened. So he got loose. This was on lap 28. He got loose off of turn 2, went for a bit of a trip down in the infield, And if you remember, we were talking about the road course, the infield road course that comes onto this track. There's a curb on the back stretch, right where the car comes out, and he hit that, went flying in the air. The car came back down, damaged the rear, and you'll see Drew Eisman hit the wall.
Yeah, this is just happened a moment ago. Off into turn 3, just miscalculates, doesn't turn in, catches the safer barrier, and big wham right there. Will damage the car. He was running in 3rd, is dropped to 4th now as Grunberg goes up into the 3rd spot. He started again 15th place. He's climbed 12 spots in 33 laps and is now running on par with the race leader. So you think Grunberg might be the new race favorite if he could just jump up there past his teammates.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, you argue maybe Jeffrey Fisher not going to be too terribly hard of a pass, but the thing is he's got to catch back up to Miller. And as you mentioned, they're running very similar on the lap times, and Grunberg has still got to make up little under 5 seconds of the gap. That's pretty large. So for him to make up, he's got a lot of time to get it done. But Miller is not going to be easy to beat, especially considering Miller knows he's ahead of Grunberg in the standings, and I think he wants to keep it like that for as long as possible.
Cogswell a little slow out of turn 2. He's got some right side damage as well. Richard Hines follows him into turn 3. Now he's going to turn up underneath him. A couple Thunder Chickens battling for 8th place. Justin Kolb follows from behind, trying to rebound with the damaged race car.
Ooh, is Cogswell going to almost hit the wall for turn 4? Almost goes flying into the 52, and Kolb going to make a move to the outside, going to take the spot.
He split the difference, squeezed up the outside lane. Oh, all right on the rear quarter panel of the 87 now for 2nd place. Here comes Grunberg past Fisher, so move the 54 to P2. It's a 5-second gap to go run down James Miller, who again has just been the class of the field this season. It hasn't even really been close, but because of the way the championship format works, he's not currently leading the standings. He has 7 wins this season in 17 starts. I think he'd like to make it 8 out of 18 starts tonight.
See if he can get it done. Back and behind Kolb, he worked past Richard Hines. He also came on the radio too when he got past Cogswell, saying not sure, wasn't sure how he made that happen, but he's glad that he did.
Typical joyful Justin. I'm now patenting that nickname as we enter turn 3. Going to drift up the racetrack just a little bit. It sounds like a Trump nickname or something. Joyful Justin. That was a little tight between Hines and Cogswell. Cogswell is going to avoid hitting the fence, but I think the 87 did catch it. Good battle going on here for 8th on back.
Yeah, and it's Cogswell going to actually try to gas it up here off, and Cogswell struggling with the runs off the corner, and Cogswell going to take advantage of their side-by-side down the back stretch.
27's going to launch into turn 3. They're going to touch there. The 87's going to get the door. And that was an elbow out move for the Cogswell, but he's through, and Hines will lose 1, maybe 2, could be 3 spots as Michael Goodman pokes his nose back into the frame.
And Hines is trying to get off the gas to hit the wall. He lost 3 spots in 2 corners, so he's all the way back in 12th now. And also has got some damage, some decent damage to the left side of the car as well.
Sometimes it feels like the world's against you. For the 87, Richard Hines might not be the world, but it's a couple people around him today that are spoiling the afternoon. Brent Miller and Nick Boyd fighting for 6th. Let's have a quick check-in on the weather. Temperature has stayed constant now. Big slide for Tanner Sharp down the front straightaway. That's kind of par for the course here tonight.
And Sharp actually too, he's been slowly working his way up through the orders. Started in 10th, is up into 5th, so he's another sizable mover in this field, and looking like he might have some more pace. He's been catching up to the battle that's just ahead of them with Eisman and Fisher. Still amazed that Eisman has not made any progress on Fisher so far for that spot.
Yeah, Eisman's progress did slow down. 31.285 for Fisher last go around, making it a 31.630 to a 31.548 for Eisenman. That time he did close in at 10th, but he's pretty much been stalled here. Slide for the 98 on corner exit at turn 2. Working our way towards 110 laps to go. And Matt Grunberg is closing on the race leader. Richard Hines hits pit lane. This could be a scheduled stop potentially.
Yeah, we'll see here. We are coming up on the third way mark. Yeah, I guess that sounds somewhat like English.
Roll with that.
So we'll see if more guys are going to come down, or if they're going to decide maybe to stretch it to halfway. If anything, I'm not too worried more about the field, more so the tires. And speaking of the tires, looking at the fall off, it's looking at what, around 1.5 seconds?
Yeah, it sort of stalled. Yeah, about 1.5 seconds. I thought it was going to expand. Well, I guess we thought it would be 2 seconds off at 48 laps into the race, and we're almost there. So I think that sounds like an accurate figure.
Yeah, they've actually, sorry to cut you off, they've actually been running this pace since around lap 20. They've been around a second and a half off since around then, so they kind of just fallen off a cliff and kind of stay there.
See if they drop off a second cliff. You see up the road, James Miller working his way around some lap traffic. It was Richard Hines that he just got around. The gap is now 3.5 seconds between Miller and Gruenberg.
Yeah, also about Hines, who just came out of the pits, he's actually just about a pass race leader. 09 and James Miller, so new tires definitely worked something, but not for too terribly long. As Hines is getting a little bit squirrely there on the apron.
Yeah, I'm curious to see when the leaders decide to come on down again. I think we'll split this into a two-stop race. It's going to be a two-stop race no matter how you cut it from this point out. I think you might see drivers wait a little longer. Here's Michael Goodman going by Justin Kolb, and I think Kolb's car is hurting right now with that front-end damage. Thankfully, aerodynamics not a huge consideration here tonight, but you still want to keep it looking smooth.
Yeah, I'm more worried about what happened to underneath the car, because again, I mentioned he hit that curb on to the infield road course exit, and the car went flying on the air, came crashing back down. Can't imagine it did wonders for its suspension, so might be hurting a little bit. He definitely has fallen off the pace, so that car is hurting in, I guess, more ways than one.
Hearing that the breakers blew for the 22 of Race Clark. And that's going to be it. So he's done for the night. That is such a shame. But that's how it be sometimes. The bad luck hits occasionally. You just hope it hits you earlier in the season rather than leading the championship by a couple points with 2 races left. But, you know, that kind of chaos could happen to the other cars too, but it's not going to happen to all 3 of the Team AV cars. There's Cogswell in the fence out of turn 4. But going back to that point, you could expect, you know, the same thing could happen to Miller or Fisher or Gruenberg or Eisenman, but not all 4.
Yeah, he's going to just have to hope that someone out there just has a bone to pick for some reason. I don't think anyone's really been too mean this season, from what I've seen and heard. So I don't think anyone's going to come in a la Jeff and Gordon and just take out another driver.
Everyone's been very well behaved this season, which has been good. There's been some ruffled feathers here and there, but for the most part, it's been nice and tidy. Everyone is behaving. Third place,
for
Jeffrey
now.
Fisher. Yeah, for now. Here comes Eisenman up the inside of the 98. That's for third.
Here to see if he can finally get this pass done. I'm not sure if he's just been either really patient or also just really frustrated back in behind the 98. It didn't really get any good run off of turn 4, but now going to be the inside into turn 1. Fisher going to be out to the inside. We talked about the lanes changing up as the run has gone on, but I think they're kind of more equalized.
You said frustrated like a Scottish person. He's so frustrated about the situation. As the 77 goes up the inside, he just can't get a run down here, and Fisher's hanging on, but I think this might be a futile fight. They're going to run door to door at the exit of 4. Not a whole lot of room left to give there.
It is really close quarters for these cars, and he's going to get a really nice line into turn 1. Going to do a bit of a slide job as well. Ooh. 98 going to give a little bit of a tap as he is a 77 slow down way into the corner. But Eisenman up into third.
And now Tanner Sharp joining the club in the number 3 car. Again, 10th to 5th, so a good climb forward. And sets its sights on the Team AV number 98 right in front of him in the Chevrolet. And more pit stops for a couple more drivers. Alex Boyd has come on down. And I think we're going to see the leaders, or at least the back half of the front part of the field, probably make their way down here in a few moments.
50 laps into this race, so this is right around where if you want to optimize that 2-stop strategy, you want to come in now. But again, as you mentioned, might see them guys continue it up or not as the caution is out.
I didn't catch who that was.
I didn't catch who it was either.
No cars are slow around the racetrack.
Oh, hang on. There's someone on the wall. It's Alex Boyd.
Oh, there he is. Alex Boyd. He just came down and got tires a little while ago, so I'm kind of curious how he got himself in this situation. Just too hot into turn 1, carried too much speed. Car stepped out, and he's going to overcorrect right here to the right. That's going to hurt.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, you talk about changing new tires. You know, you think you're like Superman on the tire, and you also might just forget, especially if you've been driving the car a certain way for the last 20, 30 laps. You have to change the way you attack the car. Unfortunately, just got caught out from underneath him.
So Boyd bring out our first caution of the day. Great timing for all the front runners with 100 laps to go. They can split this into 50-lap segments, and this will be their first stop of the night for the majority of the field. And I would guess that the next plan would be to come in at or around lap 100 to make it to the end.
Yeah, it would be an ideal strategy. See if anyone decides against it, or if we will have another caution around then too. Oh, again, these guys have been keeping it pretty clean, but usually after the first caution, things get a little bit more hectic. The one driver I really want to keep my eye on, I'm kind of glad this caution came out just so I could really see how he performed, is Tanner Sharp in that 3. We saw him drive up to Jeffrey Fisher and also Drew Eisenman on that last run, and he's got some decent pace, really good long-run pace as well. So see if he can translate that into a solid finish here as he's in the top 5. Let's see if he comes out that way. Out of the pits.
Matt Gruenberg is going to come off of pit lane right behind his teammate James Miller. Eisenman Sharp will be the rest of your top 4. Corey Lindsay remains on the racetrack. I think that just to lead a lap, he will likely hit pit lane and let the cycle commence. And here he comes, bringing 10-car Boyd with him. So Miller, Gruenberg, Eisenman, Sharp, and Fisher will be your top 5 at the restart. And again, 3 of the top 5 positions held by Team AV teammates. 2, those would be Tanner Sharp and Drew Eisenman are not on that team. Eisenman, let's not count him out either. He came into the night, I believe, 2nd in the standings, right behind Race Clark. If we have a look at the standings, yeah, it came in 5 points. No, it was James Miller 5 points back, then Eisenman 2 back from Miller. So I wouldn't count out the 77. Matt Gruenberg is only 1 behind Eisenman, too.
Yeah, it's from 2nd back to 6th. It's a like 6-point spread between those 5 drivers, so it's really close in the points between everyone else. So it's really going to be what more or less the finishing order out of this race is going to kind of give an idea of going to Homestead, who's got a bit of an advantage. And with how short, because again, it's only 3 races after this reset, they're going to still be very close going to Homestead. So they can't, rest on the laurels at all. They got to be pushing for any of these drivers that really wants a chance at the championship so far. Again, the favorites looking to be Miller and Matt Gruenberg. But even Drew Eisenman, if he can pull something out here, that'll be a bit of a surprise. He's doing pretty well, still up in 3rd.
Do you ever notice these markings on the infield? I've never seen these before.
Oh, whoa, yeah, what?
I've never noticed these.
That is so...
I mean...
that's crazy. Yeah.
Aliens, man.
That's honestly blown my mind.
I mean, granted, we existed after this track sort of already fell out of use, so we never really looked at it from the sky that much. But
yeah, that's still crazy though. I've been on this track for had this track for what, almost 8 years, and I've never noticed it all this time. That's crazy.
Pretty wild. Coming to the restart for lap number 54 of 150. Miller, Gruenberg, Sharp, Eisenman, Fisher, the top 5. Coming to the green, Miller chooses the outside lane. Green flag back in the air, racing again from Phoenix in the 3-wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. The run down to turn 1. Miller clears his teammate. Behind him, Sharp and Eisenman battle for 3rd.
Yeah, Sharp trying to keep that 77 pin down. Remember, they'll restart on the initial start of the race. We saw that outside lane prevail. Ooh, it's Sharp though trying to prevail. He gets a little bit loose out of turn 2. Looks like Eisenman going to have the advantage into turn 3.
Eisenman's going to try to pull ahead. Sharp throttles up to try to get alongside mid-corner. If he can carry this onto the front straight, he might be able to pull even, but he can't quite do it. Eisenman, I think, is going to clear the 3. Yes, he does. Now here comes Brent Miller to be disrupted with 4th place on the entrance to turn 1.
Yeah, short turn down to the inside to keep Miller from making a move back in behind them. Battle side by side. Michael Goodman with Cogswell side by side coming off of turn 2. Cogswell going to win that fight.
Goodman crosses him over. He might have a look into turn 3. Not going to do it. He'll stay in behind. Sharp up to 4th. We'll see if he can keep pace with the 77 in front of him, but all Miller and Gruenberg out front right now by 3.5 tenths of a second. And now a full second back to Eisenman, but I do think Gruenberg is the faster car right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, remember, talking about Miller, these guys being similar on pace with a 5-second gap between Miller and Gruenberg. Well, that's all gone with that caution. Now Miller's dealing with Gruenberg right in behind him with fresh tires.
Looking up the outside, Miller drifts up slightly. Gruenberg's going to square off corner exit here, aim for that white dotted line. There he is. Now on the run down the front straightaway, he'll take it. Nope, he's going to back out again. I think he wants to make this as smooth and seamless as possible. Trouble in the back. Oh, there's a car upside down. It's Nick Boyd up on his lid on the pit wall on the front straightaway.
Yeah, that was a violent accident for him. It was also a car with an engine destroyed. It looked like it was Richard Hines in behind as well. So pretty gnarly accident out of turn 4.
Yeah, I'll say. Here's a look at it. Top of the tower here. There's Nick Boyd in the 74, the 87. We're probably going to get together here on corner exit. Right here, he's going to, oh, yeah, they're going to get, wow!
That's a hard hit.
That was gnarly. And he'll end up upside down there. But watch this impact. He's going to drift up the racetrack. Maybe the 87 turns down a little bit here too, Finian. But at the end of the day, the 87 sort of turns down for me and just hooks him straight into the concrete. Look at the 87 just stop. The 87 car just goes from 110 miles an hour to 0 as he hits that 74 into the concrete and turns him up and over. And watch this again. Watch the 87. They come out of 4. We'll play at full speed here. Watch him just stop. Man. I think Brady Smith got a good view of this, so we'll ride on board with him.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed on more cars didn't get involved. I think some of these guys definitely got lucky back here, or I think Brady Smith might be one of them.
Oh, wow, that is a nasty accident. Sends that 74 tumbling. That will certainly mean the end of the race for Nick Boyd, who was in the playoffs, but that is probably going to take him.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Okay, wow. Really exciting.
I didn't realize that everyone came down pit road. I thought Matt Gruber only came down pit road for a second.
Oh, man. Well, James Miller leads the race off of pit lane. And looks like Nick Boyd, who was a championship competitor.
No one else seemed to take tires, it seemed. Or, sorry, except besides the front few guys, seems like they all took no tires. A lot of guys in the back taking tires.
We'll see if it pays off for them here. Miller leads the way. I think we're going to cut away for just a moment. We'll be back for the restart here in just a few minutes. Back live for a restart here on the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. Penultimate race of the season from Phoenix and Avondale, Arizona. 61 laps into our 150-lap event. James Miller, Drew Eisenman, Tanner Sharp lead after a collision involving Richard Hines and the 74 of Nick Boyd. Those cars totaled and out of the race. Still a fairly good number of front runners all battling for position and for the championship. James Miller came in second in the points, but points leader Race Clark had trouble and is now at the back of the field, done for the night. So it's Miller, Eisenman, Sharp, Fisher, and Grunberg all fighting for the top of the board. Green flag back in the air from Phoenix. Oh, big dive for Tanner Sharp into turn 3. Can he sustain it? He does. Behind him, Jeffrey Fisher and Matt Grunberg going toe-to-toe as they come out of turn 4. 54 turns up under the 3. 3 wide with the teammates on the outside. It's a Tanner Sharp sandwich, and through goes the 98 on the outside.
Yeah, Tanner Sharp probably going to be truthful without losing 2 positions in a straightaway. Not even a corner, but the straightaway. As we see, Fisher, he's going to keep ahead of Grunberg. And Grunberg, of note, the highest running driver that took 4 tires. Can't imagine it's going to matter too much, but just an interesting note.
It's a big moment for the 3, so he lost a couple spots. Up in the front, though, Miller holds on to the lead by 1/10 of a second. No teammate to play rear gunner now. It's the Ford Thunderbird, the lone Thunderbird in the top 5, and he's taking the attack to that 09. Grunberg up underneath his teammate into turn 1.
I can't imagine Fisher's going to fight this too much. I mean, he's definitely going to fight it, but not going to pinch 54. No, Fisher, you got a good acceleration out of turn 2, but hit the wall. Now it's a drag race for 3rd place in behind him.
And for the race lead, the 77 up the inside. Couldn't quite get there. Sharp squeezes ahead of the 98. Here comes Cogswell up the inside. Going to push up in between the 3 and the 98. Gets that spot complete. But Eisenman and Miller went at it for a moment. They've cycled back out to single file.
I think Miller's hoping that Eisenman stops fighting him, if anything, just to hold up the 54 Matt Grunberg, because we saw Grunberg was awfully close to getting past Miller in the last run.
Into turn 3, Eisenman's right there. Can he chuck the nose up underneath? Miller's driving off into the corner hard. Here comes Grunberg. Eisenman's going to slide up to try to block it. But Grunberg's going to set up corner exit. That's how he's been getting past his done so far.
Couldn't quite get that run, but again, the time is Matt Grunberg's friend at the moment. I feel like it's going to be a matter of time before he at least gets into 2nd. We'll see what the lead is. Miller gets a really poor run through the middle of the corner. Eisenman also hits him, and Grunberg gets a little bit of a 10th with 77 as well off of 2.
Into turn 3, nose to tail, teammate, non-teammate, teammate. The 77, the odd man out here in this lineup. Grunberg still aiming for that inside lane to try to build up momentum on the exit. Here comes the 77 with another dive into turn 1, but Miller's been so good on the brakes, he's just compromising these exits, and that's what's backing up Eisenman into Grunberg.
It almost worked what Eisenman's trying to do. They're trying to make Miller mess up on the entry. He got a decent run off the corner, but nowhere to go on Miller. At least Miller's been really good at covering his bases here, keeping both of them in behind. And Grunberg, as far as he hasn't gotten on the 77 yet, maybe might just be playing patient, might be kind of struggling here. We'll have to see.
They're so close, but passing looks difficult. The brakes on these cars, not very effective. And it's easy to get yourself in a bad spot. Grunberg runs around the outside lane, going to try to carry the momentum. Here comes the 77 up the inside. For a moment they touch, and the 54 goes around him and to the race lead here in a moment if he can carry the speed.
Yeah, that hurt both Eisenman and Miller here, and here we go side by side in 3 and 4. Grunberg going to try to rock it around the outside.
And he's going to have it as he clears his teammate at the exit of turn 4. Matt Grunberg, power move to the lead. That was a strong run. He came into the night 4th in the points and behind James Miller by about 3 spots. So this is going to put him in the right direction. He needs to put a car between himself and that 09 or 2 to go into Homestead with a bonus over the top of the 09. But I think that could be arranged. Still got a long way to go.
You have to see. If anything, I think it looked like it might be a point or 2 in Grunberg's favor. If anything, it's going to be really close between these two going to next week if they finish as they run.
54 pulls ahead now 0.3 of a second. How about Tanner Sharp and Jeffrey Fisher going back at it for 5th? Brent Miller following. He has been ruffling the feathers the last couple weeks. He sees that blue spoiler up the road. That tells him that that's a Chase Championship driver. It doesn't matter, going for a win, not going to slow you down.
Yeah, almost had it last week at Talladega, finishing 2nd, his highest finish by quite a bit, other than 2 7th-place finishes at Rockingham and Indianapolis.
Eisenman sizing up the 09. I think now he's probably had enough of running behind Miller and would love to complete this pass, but maybe a bit early to be laying bumpers. We're about 4 laps away from halfway, and I don't think you want to make enemies just yet.
No, I don't think so either. I'll have to see, though. You can only keep him behind a guy so long, especially if you feel you're faster in the leader, who you think you could chase down is driving away. So we'll see if Eisenman wants to use the bumper a little bit more. Oh, speaking of which.
There it is. Push and a shove. Didn't really get him anywhere, though. I think it was more of a message than an attempt to pass.
It actually almost was something. Miller did get awfully close to the wall, just powered out of it.
Behind him, here's Michael Goodman and Mike Stevens going at it. That's for 8th place. 44.
He's going to get the power down off of turn 4. Goodman just about a fender ahead of the 63. Stevens going to be deep on the brakes though into turn 1.
He's got it.
But, yep, Goodman going to get the spot.
Crosses over in front, so 63 will try to line him back up again. Meanwhile, for 2nd place, wonder Miller is really slowing down this pack. You see the cars accumulating behind him as Grunberg drives away. You have to wonder, when do you move the cork out of the bottle here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I'm curious if Miller, because he showed some really good pace earlier. I can't imagine Grunberg was this much faster than Miller. Now, I would say they're both pretty similar in a lot of aspects. I'm curious to see Miller trying to conserve his tires a little bit more.
That could be. I mean, we're about halfway through this 2nd run, but I would think at some point you got to start going back the right direction. Cogswell sideways in turn 3. Can he save it? Yes, he does. Big slide, a smoky one. That was something out of Tokyo Drift. And he gathers it back up. We'll lose a spot or 2 here as Fisher closes in with that dramatic moment.
Yeah, nothing like drifting a Ford Thunderbird at Phoenix.
That is something. Have a look at this. That is style points at least for Cogswell. Gathered it back up. Driving through it. Dale Earnhardt would be proud.
Back at Eisenman, trying to see if he's actually looks like he might be starting to lose Miller just a little bit. I think Eisenman might have been pushing the issue a little bit too far early on in the run. Miller is just slowly starting to break away, and I really do want to see if we can get a full run in, if Miller can start to close the gap back on Grunberg.
Well, last time by, Grunberg was about a 10th quicker. See if that trend continues. We are at the halfway point now, crossing over that into lap 77 of 150. About 38 minutes of racing left if we stay green. And quicker still. That was 2/10 slower for Miller that time by, so Grunberg continues to grow this gap. We've seen more races with Miller dominant this season than Matt Grunberg's dominance, but this worries me as a competitor. If we head into Homestead next week and Grunberg is coming off of a win by 5 or 6 seconds over the field, you better go in there with all cylinders firing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the situation James Miller wants to avoid. If anything, he wants to finish, and regardless of what spot it is, and I think he wants to finish ahead of Matt Grunberg. To see Eisenman very aggressive driving to turn 1, trying to keep the 3 of Canada Sharp in behind, and now you can really see Eisenman, he's starting to struggle now.
A bit of a slide out of the rear. Whoa, Sharp sideways out of turn 2. Big jump over the curb. And a mistake.
That's going to be a caution.
No caution. Stays green.
Yeah, that was the exact curbing I was talking about that Justin Cobb hit a lot earlier in the race.
Just got a little bit wide, got out into the marbles and the dirty stuff. Went for a ride. Did a good job locking it down and getting it back straight, but he recovers in 11th. That's really far down. Look at Corey Lindsay battling the car at corner exit. You're going to need caution to get you back in position. I just don't think you can drive through the field. It seems very difficult to pass tonight.
Yeah, it's not too surprising, and these cars are already a handful as it is by itself. Gonna throw a bunch of other guys on the track, it makes it a much harder occasion to see Sharp trying to get past Lindsay.
As he drives up the racetrack.
Oh,
he's gonna
I think he's going to hit the wall as well. Oh, no, he's going to get loose almost into the 3 of Dana Sharp.
He did catch the wall through the middle and kind of bounced off of it back into traffic, but I imagine this battle won't persist for too much longer.
Unfortunate for Dana Sharp, he's having such a good day up to the point. Knight's still young, though, has a chance to reclaim some spots back.
The Knight's like teenager, like late teens now, I think. Getting into the 20s. The Knight has graduated high school at this point. We're not quite early anymore, but we are getting pretty deep into the middle of this race. As the 63 and 52 go at it, this is for 8th. 63 has it, 52 wants it.
And I haven't really seen much of Justin Cobb since he went for a trip similar to Tanner Sharp hitting that curb. He's been pretty much stuck outside of around 8th or 9th place the entire rest of the night. He's been really struggling with that car.
And the damage not helping the 52 by any stretch. And ooh, a little bit of a swerve there. You see the valence on the 63 leaning so heavily to the left. Caution, it is Corey Lindsay out of turn 4. And third caution of the night at lap number 82. Let's have a look at this. Is a long accident from what I understand. Here's a look at it.
Yeah, this is what we saw earlier. Just threw it. Has been throwing it really too hard into turn 3. Hit the wall. Was trying to save it. Almost had it saved. Had a slow, lazy spin. Ooh, got another driver as well.
Brady Smith that he made contact with at the exit of turn 4. Looks like fairly severe right side damage, unfortunately. Right here, he's going to get clobbered in the door, and hopefully it missed the suspension. But our third caution of the night. This opens up an interesting period here because we've got about 15 laps until you're going to want to make your pit stop. Probably make it on fuel from here, but you're not going to want to. What do you do, Larry Mack?
Let's say, again, it kind of depends on how these guys have been managing their tires. If you're able to manage your tires, I think you might see you guys maybe try to do that. Maybe some guys might figure it's not worth it and may come into pit early on this run. Again, that is assuming we go green to the end, and that it's also going to depend on if these guys believe we're going to go green to the end. It would be the longest green flag stretch we've had this race if they do so.
I do think that we are going to go green to the end. I think we're losing the cars in the field to the point where I think we're only going to have the top competitors left, and they haven't really scared me a whole lot tonight. So I do think we're going to go green unless we have any sort of chaos on the restart. I'm just curious. Again, everyone's taking tires, so I think you're going to assume that you go to the end from here, or maybe you're going to count on that caution flag and just run out really hard. I don't think that's a safe strategy either.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be taking 4 there. I think that's definitely for certain.
James Miller was trailing the 54, but he leaves pit lane with that first stall. The positions will actually swap. So Miller, Gruenberg, Eisenman, 1, 2, 3. Then Jeffrey Fisher and Cogswell, the rest of the top 5.
Yeah, that was a pretty surprising swap. Wasn't expecting that.
I'll have a look at the pit stop information here. James Miller with a 46.95 in pit lane to a 47.452. So some time gained there for the 09 in that pit box.
Yeah, sorry, you just got kind of lucky with the RNG there too, with him giving him a faster stop. Plus, again, as you mentioned too, that first pit stall also doing him some favors as well. Oh, there's a flagman at the end of pit road.
Oh, that's new.
It's him right there.
I wonder. Wait.
You know what I think he's there for? I think, you know how they added the pit lights?
Yeah, but I don't. So, to my knowledge, the flagman that stands on the pit lane. So, the iRacing doesn't have corner workers yet because they can't differentiate them from the main flag stand. So, here I have 2 guesses. Either that's the only flagman here or he does exactly what's at the start-finish line. And my bet is going to be the latter. You see the flagman holding up the yellow flag here. I want to watch this on the restart. I want to see if he throws a green flag, too. I bet you he does.
I mean, I'm not going to go against that.
Otherwise,
it's probably that.
Otherwise, corner workers confirmed. So
he's just been hiding at Phoenix.
Just been hiding at Phoenix. He's still holding the yellow. I mean, or either that or he just holds the yellow flag there the entire night. I mean, it could be a static thing.
But then why do they bother to put him there?
I mean, you could always do that. Yeah, that's a green flag right there. Yeah. Good job, dude. All right, coming to the green now for lap number 87, closing in on the tail end of this race. Our night is now in its mid-40s. And
it's middle age.
And probably thinking about retirement. We come out of turn 4. Lap number 87, green flag back in the air from Phoenix. And the 09 clears the 54 easily. What's our flagman buddy in turn 1 doing? That's the real question. He's on the green. I was right. Never seen that before, honestly. I've never seen any flagman standing anywhere with a flag.
Yeah, I was going to say, he definitely is the first in that respect, but it's the most useless job.
Whoa. I wonder, you know what, most likely is that was an object that was misplaced, like it wasn't supposed to be that particular model. Like it wasn't supposed to be a flagman, it was just supposed to be a generic official, and they just placed the wrong one. Because it doesn't serve any purpose.
Yeah, what doesn't really, we might see him bring the yellow back out as Tanner Short is looking a bit sketchy there through turns 1 and 2.
You have to get that yellow flag at the ready.
I never show it. Just constantly have it at the ready.
I mean, hey, you got to have your weapon holster. There they go. The 3-car dives for the apron to miss it. He does. Kolb hangs on for the lead, though. Battle for position.
And up in front, yep, as you see Grumberg trying to take the lead again. Away from Miller, who got really lucky and had a great stop, did a great job down on pit road to get the lead back, though it's got to fight in his hands if he wants to keep it.
Grumberg opens up the outside lane, now crosses under again. That's been his move so far, but he's been sitting on it. He doesn't go for the pass here ever. Now he's going to sweep out to the left, but break early and send Miller in really deep in the corner. That's probably a mistake that the 54 can capitalize on, but he drove in a bit hard too.
Yeah, I'm going to be surprised if Miller's going to fight this tooth and nail. He needs to keep Grumberg in behind. He was given a chance, another opportunity that I'm pretty sure he thought he wouldn't have again in this race. Now he's got to do the most he can with it to keep that 54 back in behind.
I think he's faster. He's driving the rear end a little bit more than the 09 is right now. It might be a short-term gain, long-term loss. 60 laps to go at the line. Battle for the top spot between teammates.
Bumper to bumper down the back stretch. Grumberg, he's been constantly looking to the outside lane, trying to get a run. They're going to dive back deep to the inside, catch Miller sleeping.
Through turn 3 and 4. Big push for the 54 mid-corner, and Miller will hang on for now. This is the best battle on the racetrack at the top of the order. And they cannot seem to get it sorted just yet. Behind them, Jeffrey Fisher and Cogswell into turn 1. Jonathan having a pretty good night. Big slide. Don't say it too early, Kyle, as the 27 hangs onto it. Brent Miller going to throw it up the inside here if he could just get a little closer.
Yeah, he's got a real that 27 back in. Speaking of reeling back in, back up in front, Grumberg caught up to the back of the 09 of Miller, and Miller racing notably harder than he was earlier in the run. We saw him cut Grumberg off heading down to turn 1. He is fighting now. I think he realizes this is his last shot.
Picks up the throttle twice there, got in a little early and had to back out. That'll give the 54 a good run. He's going to swing to the right and try to carry momentum. Now he has a look up the inside, going to dive on the brakes, rotors aglow. Opens up the door, and here comes Grumberg for the top spot.
I think Miller, he kind of let Grumberg head down. I think Miller feels confident he can outdrive him on the top side. Indeed, he will.
But for how long? I think that's a losing ground, a losing battle for the 09 and James Miller. Matt Grumberg has 4 wins this season, and James Miller's 7. I'm sure he'd like to add a 5th. He can't tie the 09 at this point in the season, but he can inch closer. There's a look at him off into turn 3, right behind Miller. Still searching up the outside and squaring off this 4th corner.
Yeah, I think at this point he's just going to have to try because he knows that Miller's going to be putting up a fight now. He's got to try to search where can he get the best run off the corner. If anything, where can he set up a good run off of these corners into the next and try to get run on Miller on the streets because he can't dive. He can't make a dive bomb on the 09. It's going to take both of them out.
Drew Eisman would love that, sitting about 1.8 seconds back from this battle. But Grumberg's been pretty conservative with his attack so far. He hasn't really done anything aggressive from that standpoint. He's been searching around, but he doesn't throw the car down the inside aggressively like some of the other drivers have been doing towards the rear of the field. So Matt's been taking his time with this, backing out of the throttle early and planning for corner exit rather than trying to gather it all on the entry.
Really close to Miller in the middle of the corner and off the... Ooh, actually missed a shift there. Going to lose some time.
Into turn 3. Still a quarter of a car length between them. He just can't get the run built high enough to take a stab at it.
Yeah, notably too, just listening on board, Grumberg is still shifting. Miller is still not, at least in turns 1 and 2.
Behind them, Tanner Sharp and Justin Kolb trading spots. Kolb's going to cross over the 3. Well, that's going to get tight on corner exit. There's a bit of a touch for the lead. Here comes Grunberg up the outside now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a great run down the back stretch here. Miller going to try to force the 54 up out a lane. Going to try to get some traction down on the inside. We see that outside lane. You get a really good run indeed. Here comes Grunberg side by side into one.
Yeah, and Miller, again, he wants that outside lane to defend in turn 4. But Grunberg's going to power around the right-hand side of the racetrack now, and he should be able to complete this pass from this position. I think this is a position of strength for Grunberg. I think once you're alongside, the outside's the place to be. You just getting alongside is the hard part.
Oh, he threw it in there really hard. He's going to try to gas it up. Indeed, he might be able to there. Both inching ahead here out of 4.
And you see the hands working in the 0-9, but he just can't do it. Matt Grunberg is the better car right now. He leads into turn 1. Miller pokes out to the inside. Battle that he has lost for the short term. And with about 51 laps to go, Grunberg takes the lead away from his teammate.
So this is, again, we were kind of interested in seeing how far these guys are going to go, if they're going to go bring it all the way. It's a bit of an ask, but I don't think it's quite out of the realm of possibility.
No, I don't think so. I think you're going to want to treat your tires well, and I don't know that Miller and Grunberg have done that. But I think they're pretty much better than everybody else, far enough away that I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. No other major battles on the track to speak of. Tanner Sharp trying to recover from his spin he had earlier, but the progress has been slow.
Yeah, I mean, that left run has definitely seen better days. Not sure if that's slowing him down. I mean, he did hit that pretty hard, so again, can't imagine him doing him any favors, but he's kind of in the middle of no man's lane. He's chilling back from Mike Stevens and Brent Miller, 6th and 7th, and just ahead of Justin Coe, who was another driver. Oh, I see a car on the wall in turns 1 and 2. Jonathan Cogswell.
Here's a look at it. Drove off in there. I don't think there was any help. He just drove. Well, maybe there was. Let's go back again and look. Had Brent Miller behind him in the 89.
Yeah, he's saying he threw into the car into the corner. It was just too tight.
Oh wow! Yeah, that was way off. That wasn't even close. Got a car in hot. He'll fall back a few spots. Meanwhile, Miller keeping the distance pretty tight between him and Grunberg. Maybe this fight isn't over yet.
Maybe it's not, especially Grunberg got a pretty... Whoa! Grunberg had to get off the gas here. Miller kept it. He almost hit the wall, but got a great run. Yeah, Grunberg actually starting to struggle now in cleaner air, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think. Miller looking to be faster in behind.
Into turn 1 now. Miller chasing his teammate. You see Grunberg push up the racetrack. I think once you're leading, you want to be up against that yellow line through the first corner. But now without the 0-9 pacing him, I wonder if Grunberg has sort of lost some of those markers that he was using to brake.
Yeah, it definitely does happen, at least with me. I know for a fact that happens with me when I'm in behind someone. I'm find myself in a groove. Once I'm in front, I kind of know how to drive the track all of a sudden. And Grunberg, I think, as you're saying, just being in behind the 0-9 for so long, he hasn't had a whole lot of time up in front of the 0-9. So, especially with him right in behind as well. So he's going to have to drive defensively and not just kind of drive his own race. He's got to keep that the 0-9 in check, looking back, a little battle in behind.
Skylar Nissel, the number 11. We haven't talked about him at all tonight. It's just been a completely lackluster evening. Started 11th. That's exactly where he's running. Brady Smith got run into once or twice. Here comes Corey Lindsay now up the inside. Battle for 12th.
Yeah, Lindsay's been having a fairly quiet night. Going to throw it up the inside. Hey, you saw him actually brought up the last caution, and he's going to move himself up to 12th.
I was going to say quiet as if smashing a 3,400-pound race car into the wall didn't count. But, I mean, whatever floats your boat. Leaders still 2/10 apart, coming to 45 laps to go. Counting them down now. Running out of time for Miller to get the time back, and he's starting to lose some front grip.
Yeah, we're really starting to approach retirement age now in this race.
Into turn 1. Yeah, I think our night is losing its teeth, and it needs a walker at this point. That's a terrible joke. This needs to not. What happens in this broadcast doesn't leave this broadcast. We can't broadcast together anymore. I don't think we can do it without making stupid jokes. Oh man,
he's enjoying it.
It's probably enjoying it.
I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah. It's not fun to be serious all the time.
Well, they're happy with him. Going to go back into retirement again.
Hey. Oh, man. All right, well, 0.4 of a second. I don't think this battle is going to close back up anytime soon unless Grunberg starts wearing out the tires. Mike Stevens and Tanner Sharp. This one could get a little spicy, though, before things are said and done. Riding on board with the 3 car now, following Cogswell, who's got some right side damage from a few laps ago. He kind of tank slapped the wall in turn 1. 6th place, 3-car battle.
Yeah, I'm not sure that line he took into 3 very off, at least from my opinion. I'm not sure he's trying to, diamond it, turn harder down in turn 4, but he seems to be a lot higher up the track than some of these other guys. You can see him turn down in 1 and 2. It's definitely helping him out quite a bit. Got to watch out for the wall. Got to close up just a little bit on exit.
Has a run here, but nowhere to go with it. Again, I think with the flexibility in the brake pedal here, you don't get a lot of pressure. So you end up sort of making the braking zone super long, and that means that you can't really dive with a whole lot of comfort into any corner. You have to really be alongside to make sure that you're not just obliterating everyone in every braking zone. Corey Lindsay has pulled the car off the racetrack. He's going to head to pit lane. We could be expecting one more stop.
I think this is a stop. We'll see if the jack's dropped. There it is on the right side of the car. Oh,
no, he's... I don't know, I'm not sure if he's still in the car. Nope, no, he's not. Corey Lindsay is missing. It's like that Coca-Cola commercial where Casey Kane jumps out of the car and runs back to the garage.
Man, they don't make commercials like they used to.
They definitely don't. Cogswell's on pit lane. That tells me I think we're going to have another stop here. They're going to split this basically up into one. Instead of like an 80-lap run, it's going to be 2 40-lap runs. So we could expect to see some drivers hit pit lane, and this kind of opens the strategy back up, at least for James Miller.
I'm curious to see if we'll see anyone dare to stay out, or if it's just going to be, if they are kind of limited by fuel. Because it's not, I don't think it's completely out of the realm possibility to see someone try to stay out on here, but we'll see if anyone rolls the dice. If I'm Miller, I'm definitely rolling the dice. I think might as well at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be a battle between Miller and Grunberg for the championship. I don't think Eisenman's quite there for the championship fight unless something happens to Grunberg and Miller next week, but it's going to be between these two. Oh, you see Grunberg catch the fence. Going into Homestead, I think you got to give the plus to Grunberg because it's a 1.5-mile track. I think he's been better there this season. So Miller's got to do something. He's gonna either lose to his teammate or he's not. So you better figure out how to beat your teammate. And let me tell you, it's not doing what your teammate is doing. You're gonna have to be out of the box a little bit creative, which I don't think the 09 has had to be this season. Here's a battle for 6th. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, and as they're seeing that battle for 6th, Stan Sharp going to throw it into turn 3 ahead of Mike Stevens. Looking to see, these guys also do have a decent amount of data to see how far the tires are going to go. They had a 50-lap, 49-lap run earlier in the race. They can kind of gauge, how it is 70, 80 laps going to play out. Kind of judge it accordingly, and obviously you have to consider how much fuel they have left as well. So I really do want to see someone try something different. We saw it at Rockingham where Lindsay almost ended up winning the race. Wouldn't want it if it was 15 laps shorter.
There's Skylar Nissel and the 27 at Cogswell, who's a lap down trying to get some spots back. Here's Jeffrey Fisher and Brent Miller. And it looks like Miller's going to go the long way around, and it looks like Fisher just gave him that spot. And the 98, for the strength that he has had in consistency this season, he's going to need to win a race, one of these last 2 races, and he's not in a position to do that right now, running in 4th. It's actually not for position. Oh, yes, it is. Make that 5th place, 98 and 89. Got myself confused for a moment.
Yeah, it's not been a particularly stand-up performance for Miller, or Brent Miller, that is. So we've got a riding there in 4th. Same thing with Jeffrey Fisher, too, in the 98.
Fisher, 3rd to 5th. Slips backwards tonight. Just doesn't have the pace to run up with his teammates out in the front of the field. 35 laps to go for the leaders. If you're James Miller, would you pull an undercut? I think that's probably the best strategy to do. I don't think you have enough laps left to do an overcut.
No. I would say definitely, you want to pull an undercut. I think if he pulls an undercut, even 1 lap, I think might actually help him, if not get the lead, get really close to getting it back.
Mike Stevens and Kolb going back at it. They've had a couple position swaps here tonight. Looks like Stevens will drive a little hard into turn 1, and Kolb's going to build up that speed. Yeah, on the corner exit. Here he comes.
Not as close as I would have thought. Nico Stevens able to keep some decent pace down the back straightaway. Again, battle for 7th place.
Michael Goodman behind him. Close in. Again, it's been the season for Michael Goodman. He did make the initial playoffs, but once he got there, not really any performances to speak of. It has kind of fallen off performance-wise for the 44 this year. I'm sure he'd love to get one more top 5 result at the end of the season, but he's got some work to do to get there.
Yeah, who knows what could happen in these last parts of the race, but I'm especially expecting some guys to come down pit road.
Alex
the next
Boyd
few laps.
is on pit lane. Yeah, again, I would expect drivers to hit pit lane soon. If they were going to come, they might not have to. They might not need to. I think it's just a matter of when we're going to see the cards start to fall into place.
We are approaching halfway through the run this time by, so we'll see if anyone is going to dare. It's going to be right around here. I think within the next 5 or 10 laps, we might see some takers. After that, I think guys are going to be pretty committed to the strategy they're on.
Now, there comes a point when if you can make it on fuel, there is a point when coming down to pit lane is not going to get you a tire advantage that late in the race. So I think we're already getting close to that now with 30 laps to go in a lap or two. That's not a lot of time. That's 15 minutes here. So keep that in perspective as well. Women, right up the road. Look at Cogswell taking on, I believe that is Jeremiah Lou. No, it's not Jeremiah Lou. Who is that? 63 of Mike Stevens in a similar looking car tonight.
Yeah, and Cogswell the leading car for the only 2 cars that have come down to pit road under this run. Still waiting and seeing if anyone else is planning on doing another stop. Guys could be content with what they got for the rest of this race. Also looking at Tanner Sharp closing in on Jeffrey Fisher, so that car still has some life in it.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled with the top 5 after the night he's been through. This is hard work to get past cars, and one more spot would net him a top 5 position. He might be able to do better than that with Brent Miller about 2 seconds up the road. So 30 laps to go this time by for Matt Grunberg and James Miller. 15 minutes of racing left. Predictions here, Finney, and I think my money is squarely on the 54. I just think he's got this. I mean, I know I'm not going out on a limb there too much, but
no, you're not. It's not a really risky bet there.
Is your risky bet the 0-9? He's got 7 wins this season.
I mean, that's the only choice I got left. You already took the good one.
Well, there's like 10 other cars out on the racetrack.
No offense, James, but yeah, no, I would say if anything for the race, I think it definitely comes down to between these two. I think most of the drivers are out of contention at this point, unless the caution does come out.
For 5th, Tanner Sharp has already caught Jeffrey Fisher. Setting his sights on Brent Miller, and Eisenman's not too much farther beyond that, so I think there's a possibility that Tanner Sharp could drive up as high as 3rd here in the closing 30 laps.
Yeah, again, I mentioned he had some really good long run pace early on. I thought he was a little bit too off the pace earlier in this run, but he was just saving his stuff up here to now finally get on the loud pedal, going to throw it up the inside in 3.
I kind of want to say that we're just going to run this race out to the end here, Finney, and I think they would have made a pit stop by now. Oh, the 27 and 98. Bit of a squeeze on corner exit. I think they would have come. I think 25 laps to go is a very small number. To pit with only a few laps left, I think is not a great strategy. I think you would have rather saved if you could.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right with that. I'll be surprised to see if anyone comes out at this point. It is going to be, I think, too little too late now. As Grunberg comes flying across the line to Miller falling. Still he's doing a lot better than the last run that Grunberg was in the lead. He lost a lot more time, but he's slowly losing more and more time as his run goes on. Looking at Cove in behind. Mike Stevens wants position back.
Oh, that's a big time for Stevens to try to hang on. He's going to drift up the racetrack. Cope's going to throttle up on the inside. He should have this pass here pretty easily if he can get into gear, but he didn't get into gear very smoothly. Open door on the inside. He's going to kick it down, try to drive up in there in turn 3.
Yeah, Mike Stevens' Achilles heel has been turns 1 and 2. He's not been able to figure out, at least a few times we caught him on camera. He's going to have to pay the price here as Cove's going to throw it up the inside. Let's see if Stevens can try to rebound on the outside. No, and even Goodman's going to try to throw it up the inside into 1.
Oh, that's going to get dicey. No, the 52 is going to get turned. Can he save it? What a drive he did.
Wow, great save by the 52.
That was phenomenal stuff. Sighs of relief for all those that were going to go to the end. The sun is setting.
The driving, these guys have been laying it out sideways out of some of these corners.
About a 12-degree temperature change from the start of the race. That is a big drop in temperature as the day has moved on here. So the grip is increasing. I think the tire wear is sort of falling off with it. We're seeing lap times in the low 31s versus the mid 31s like we saw at the end of the first run of the race.
I'm sure guys are loving it, although we saw Golden Tree's going to like to have as much grip as possible, not be constantly out sideways. I can't believe he held on to the thing. I was sure that was going to be a caution.
Matt Grunberg leads by 1.7 seconds. This is looking more and more like Grunberg might pick up his 5th win of the season, and it might not be in a very spectacular fashion, but that's Grunberg's way. Yeah. Usually if he wins a race, it's usually not very exciting.
remember when he almost lapped the field? It was, I wasn't sure, I think it was the Cup Series at Rockingham.
It was either that or I think he did it at Atlanta once too.
I think he's done it on more than one occasion. I think it's also another thing too. But those two, well, one of those two occasions definitely comes to mind of him just absolutely dominating the field.
The fact that we can't remember which one it was tells me that he's done it enough times to not matter where he did it. I mean, it's he just goes up there and drives away. I'm just surprised that he's driving this far away from his teammate who has dominated the season by so much. I mean, Miller has been the better driver this year, but Grunberg is showing his stuff late in the going when it matters. Seventh place. I was about to mention that. Justin Kolb. Great minds think alike, Finian, for 7th with Michael Goodman and the 52.
Trying to get a decent run out of the corners. Goodman a little bit sideways, but Kolb, I gotta say, for Kolb, I'm surprised. I think this is a decent finishing position up in 7th today. I'm also amazed at how much he's able to fix on the rear of that car, too.
Saw the 52. A big moment in the middle of turn 3, so I think he's still struggling with the handling of that car. But he's only got to make it last for 20 more laps. No other battles to show you at the moment, just Kolb and Goodman for 7th. And after the chaos that was Talladega last week, this is a sort of welcome change of pace. I didn't really get a chance to breathe at Dega last week.
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance to after this race. Go take a look at that broadcast.
Go just watch the last 4 laps, and it'll pretty much sum up what it was. I mean, it was probably. I've seen a lot of really crazy Talladega and Daytona finishes. That was up there with the craziest I've ever seen. And especially because of Race Clark. I wouldn't really classify Race Clark as an underdog anymore. I mean, now he would be because he's last tonight. But at Talladega, he wasn't really much of an underdog. He led a bunch of laps earlier in the race, but came out of nowhere to win at the very end. And it was a spectacular race back to the checkers. All in the trial, everything was good, and then as soon as they got to it, that's when the chaos ensued.
And twos are typically ensues.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
around that travel.
It's not a new thing, but I can't say it surprised me, but it was just how things roll. So coming up on SimTV the next couple days, in case you're out of the loop a little bit, tomorrow night it is the FCP Euro Tour for Grid Life iRacers at the Olton Park circuit with the Global Rallycross Volkswagen Beetle. That'll be over on the Grid Life YouTube channel at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Wednesday night, the return of the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League. They head to Autodromo Nazionale di Monza on Wednesday night at 8 Eastern. Thursday night, Scars Ferrari Challenge from the National Park of Speed, Road America. Then Saturday, Outsider Racing League heads to their next round, which I believe is going to be Talladega. So they're going plate racing this weekend. And then Sunday is going to be an off day this week for the return of the GT World Challenge America Esports Championship from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca the following week on December 20th. And also, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday will be the finale of the FCP Euro Tour at the Nürburgring with GT4 category cars. Some exciting things coming in 2021 as well. Nothing really tangible at the moment to show anybody or anything. But there's things coming. Now that we fired Finney and we've got lots more money on our hands to do things that we want to do, and now that we've got his bad creative assets off the.
I was holding some TV back.
Yeah, holding us back, Finney. now that I've hired good people, I have an IMSA driver now.
I shouldn't laugh at that. I sound like a jerk laughing.
No, but I got better people. What am I going to say? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Skylar Nissel on pit lane with 15 laps to go. Am I kidding? I'm kidding. 7th place, Justin Kolb and Michael Goodman. They're still scrapping for that 7th spot. Goodman, size him up, was a little slower last time by, but still there to party.
Yeah, see if he tries to throw anything into these last few laps. I mean, season's almost over for these guys. Even the league itself is almost over. So I mean,
you might as well throw a Hail Mary now. I mean, if you piss anybody off, you got about 4 years probably for them to forget about it, would be my guess. So. This league goes way farther back than iRacing. This goes back to Xbox 360, from my understanding. Yeah. So these guys have been racing together for a really long time. And it's sort of the end of an era as the administrator, Corey Lindsay, is just needs a break, and I don't blame him. This is one of the longest running series on the yearly calendar that we do, and it is draining for the drivers and administrators alike. So it's good to kind of kick back and have your Monday nights back. And we will not actively be replacing this series here on SimTV, so Monday nights will go dark, the exception of the potential for some Fuel Road Series action in 2021. I think that's a possibility, not ultra likely, but it is there. The return of the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series. They'll be heading back with us in January, and really excited now with the announcement of the IR18 getting the new tires, tire compounds, and the new damage model. I am so excited and cannot wait to get some IndyCar back on SimTV.
Yeah, IndyCar got some love with this build. Looking forward to racing it in Lionheart in that series next year, hopefully next year. Still not exactly sure of my plans, but just looking forward to just racing it in general, getting some love. And yeah, again, Indy Elite put on some fantastic action. They got a revised schedule. Why that caution out?
Well, that's going to interrupt the story time. So with 11 laps to go, caution is out, and that changes a whole lot of things. That means pit stops for sure.
James Miller as well. I think he was involved in that. Oh, he was majorly involved.
Whoa! Miller got tagged and sent around as the 63 car hit the wall. And going back, what the heck? Go back a little farther and see. I lost my replay, but anyway, we saw it happen. Mike Stevens locked up, caught the 0-9. Miller remains in second with 10 laps to go, but this will almost surely breed a set of pit stops, and we're going to see everyone come get tires and fuel.
Yeah, I'm curious to see anyone going to try some shenanigans down on pit lane.
Love that word. It's a nice word. Shenanigans.
I mean, honestly, if I was Miller, I would honestly question just staying out. Just throw a Hail Mary, try to keep some track position.
Oh, I was reminded that we do have Spec MX-5 also returning, and this is interesting. It's in January this time around.
Oh, it's starting early.
Yeah, it is going to start early. It's actually done by May, and it'll be myself and Tom O'Gorman commentating that one, which we're really excited to have back. That is an esports championship that I really like because it doesn't have the riffraff of all the Coke stuff, and it's just straight up. You apply, and you most likely will get in. I mean, it's obviously it's the entrance already closed for 2021, but you apply to get in, and if you get in and you win, then you get a chance to test drive a Spec MX-5 Challenge race car in the real world. It's probably, I don't want to say the easiest, but it's probably the least hops you have to make to get a chance to run in a real race car. So DJ Alessandrini won that, got a chance to actually race in Spec MX-5 at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta last year because he already had a racing license. So there's a lot of opportunity in Spec MX-5.
Ooh. And also, we're talking about that, Miller, he hasn't retaken the lead. In fact, actually, Jeffrey Fisher is the leader.
Oh.
But Miller notably getting ahead of Matt Gruenberg.
So take the Team AV teammates, throw them in a coffee can, shake it up, and dump them out of the ground. Whichever one hits the ground first is your winner. I don't know if you could pick one right now. I'm still going to put my money on Gruenberg, but with Fisher and Miller out front, if they get single file, that's about 6 laps of work for Gruenberg to get by. So I think it just depends on either the 98 or 09 ends up out front.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see what the 98 of Fisher is going to be like. He only took right side tires. Everyone else taking 4. So Fisher, he hasn't been as fast as the 09 on the 54. Not sure how the left sides are going to do. We haven't really seen too much of the 2 tires. Warren 2 tires. We did see some guys with like 10 lap old left side tires that I don't think that really made a whole lot of a distance, but you put almost, what, 50, 60, 70 laps on those left side tires, and I'm going to ask a little bit more of them, ask a lot of them now in these closing laps. Not exactly sure that 98 is going to handle. Could be good, a decent amount of handling imbalance as well with these cars. Never really know.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think we're in for a bit of a treat here. It's going to be a good scrap to the end. It'll be a 7-lap sprint. Nope, make that 6-lap sprint. One better. 6-lap sprint to the end at Phoenix Raceway. We get a chance for a green-white checker. We get one of those. And I don't think we're going to have to use it. I think we're going to be able to go clean and green unless somebody does something silly. But again, coming into the night, the points leader was the 22 of Race Clark. He found himself with broken, what's the word?
I don't know where you're going with it.
Breakers. The breakers in his room. There, that's the word. Broken breakers. Tripped breakers.
To do an analogy.
No. No, I'm just being stupid.
He's got broken dreams.
I just don't have the brain power left. I'm sorry. Come out of turn 4, 6 laps, 6 miles at Phoenix Raceway. Fisher, Miller, Grunberg, Eisenman, Tanner Sharp, the top 5. Here we go, 6 miles of the checkers. Green flag back in the air for Fisher, Grunberg, Miller. Great restart for the 09 and for the 54. Miller does not get going, but he'll be on the outside, the preferred line through turn 1.
Let's see, though. It looks like he's trying to get clear of the 09. At least Grunberg is on the inside. Wasn't able to do so. Still a drag race for second place. This might be the battle for the lead. We'll see if Fisher can try to hold him off. As all 3 teammates going to turn 3.
It's all about where the 98 is when the 2 teammates get alongside, and can they run up? Caution is out behind him, and it's a car turned around. I don't see which car it was. The caution is out.
Skylar Nissel, did he hold the floor?
No, he's been out for a little while. It looked like Brady Smith might have been slow.
Oh, Brent Miller. Brent Miller was close to that.
Look at it. Oh, he got hit from Justin Kolb. Turned him around. He actually saved it. It was kind of a silly caution, but carry on. So this helps Matt Grunberg a huge amount. He was going to have to battle his teammate and then go run up and grab Jeffrey Fisher, but now he'll get to start alongside him.
I mean, this is helping him out. It is going to put him at a much harder chance of getting first place because, you know, typically these cars need a little bit of some laps underneath them before they can make a move. This is going to be, he's going to have to try to get the lead. I mean, he doesn't have to try to get the lead, but I think he's going to want it. It's a lot of bonus points. You get 3 extra bonus points for just winning the race, so imagine Grunberg's going to be licking his chops trying to get that. Also curious, can we get an update on the laps led for Grunberg and Miller, because that's going to be pretty important as well.
Yeah, 60 for Grunberg and 78 for Miller, so Miller has already claimed that, and that will be a drop in the bucket for him in the points category, so he'll have an advantage heading into Homestead almost regardless of where Matt Grunberg finishes, as long as Miller doesn't pack it in the fence. But that's a good point. This also should be our overtime. And this will be our 1 attempt at it. From my understanding, we're at lap 147. We're probably going to get a 1-lap extension. And if the caution comes out one more time, the race will be over. If the caution doesn't come out, the next flag you're going to end the race with would be a checkered flag, which is all actually little known fact. All races are ended by a checkered flag. No? I said.
Where are you going with that?
I said that like the race will never mind.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I hope it made someone giggle.
It made me giggle, but not for what you wanted to. I don't think.
Again, I'm really stupid right now.
You said it on me.
Look, it's hard. It's really hard to go to a place and then work and then drive home and then come back to broadcast. I can't wait.
Oh, I was just gonna end it there.
No.
It's really go to a place, work, and then come back.
No, I have to do it twice in a day, and I cannot wait till this weekend because I'm getting the broadcast booth room, the Sim Gym, as Chris Stewart from Grid Life denoted it. We're getting desks put in there, hopefully tomorrow. And I can soundproof it and get it ready to rock for this weekend in theory. And hopefully, hopefully the Outsider race at Talladega is the first go at doing that. So, across the line here. Going to get the race extended by 1 lap. This is our attempt at overtime. And we will have 2 laps to go at the restart.
I bet Jeffrey Fisher and didn't see him having any shot of winning this race, and with a really solid pit call. Wait, what did I say? Someone, just throwing a Hail Mary out there. He didn't stay out, but he did throw a Hail Mary on the pit call, and that might play in his hands here if he can hold on for 2 more laps.
Oh, Greg Ginsburg in the comments saying, rough life, doing nothing but taste testing deep dish pizza. Which I must say, after having some deep dish, it's not bad. It's not pizza. It's something different. But look, I'm just saying, normal pizza, you got to eat like, what, 4 or 5 slices before you feel like you've done anything? 1 slice of Chicago deep dish, you're done. You're good. You're 400 pounds. You're all set. Coming to the restart. Jeffrey Fisher on the inside lane, Matt Grunberg on driver's right. He is the outside green flag, and Fisher wasting no time on the 2-tire call. He is going back to the green flag. 2 laps to go, 2 miles left to pick up a victory. He only has 1 this season back at Daytona. Grunberg has 4. He'd be going for his 5th.
And Miller had a very poor start. I thought he actually would have had an advantage being stuck in behind Fisher, but now he's going to have to try to get back to Grunberg here. Grunberg fighting for first place here, looking for someone around Fisher. Miller going to throw it up the inside in 3.
Oh, to the inside, got the left side tires hooked on the line, side by side between teammates for second. 3 of the Team AV cars banging doors. White flag for Jeffrey Fisher. 1 mile left at Phoenix.
Yeah, I think Miller, he knows he's got at least 1 spot on Grunberg. That's all he wants. Maybe a win if he can try to mount something up on Fisher. But these guys are too focused on
Oh, they go! Miller crashes on the back straightaway. His championship hopes dashed in a moment. Fisher and Grunberg into turn 3. Here comes the 54 up the outside. Side by side for the race lead. Teammates door to door. 4 wins for the 54. Can he add a 5th, or will it be a 2nd for Jeffrey Fisher? Coming to the line, side by side. Jeffrey Fisher wins his 2nd race of the season by a nose.
And how about that? Great job done for Jeffrey Fisher in the last 15 laps, taking the lead and winning the race out of nowhere. Great job done by the 98, and for James Miller, he's just now coming across the line, finishing in 9th, and as you mentioned earlier, his championship hopes out the window. 52
thousandths of a second is, I think, the closest finish we've ever had here at Phoenix on SimTV. 52 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, I would say that's a definite on that. Phoenix not necessarily known for its close finishes.
Jeffrey Fisher, his first win of the season came all the way back at Daytona. He's finished 3rd 4 times. It was all consecutively back earlier in the season. He's finished 2nd twice, and he finally gets another victory, make it multiple trophies on the shelf this year. And it might be his last if he doesn't win next week at Homestead. Again, the league closing after this year. So Jeffrey Fisher going to savor this one here in Avondale. Burning it down on the front straight. Well earned, well deserved. Let's go back and have a look at it. I wanted to kind of check out and see what led to all that. It was a pretty good restart for the 98, but he just didn't have the tire to compete with his teammate. Let's go back a little farther towards turn 2. Watch the 54 and 09. Miller's going to drift up. 54, yeah, just kind of straightens out. That's what hooks the 09. And then watch Grunberg here. Going to take all the momentum he's building, go to the outside lane, and try to roll that momentum up here. And he does it, but it's just not enough. For a moment, I thought he had the nose out front, but the right front and left front tires just slid. Then back to the checkers. Here is the margin of victory, just about a car length or half a car length at the line.
Yeah, he's already asking a lot of those tires going into the car. Unfortunately, they couldn't really give him much more than he asked for. But I mean, maybe 1 more lap he would have had it, but only had 2.
Race results here at Phoenix, the penultimate race of the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series season. Jeffrey Fisher gets his 2nd win of the year. Matt Grunberg just misses out on a 5th. Then Eisenman, Sharp, Brent Miller, the rest of your top 5. How about Tanner Sharp rebounding from an early spin to come home inside the top 5?
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be really happy with that after, as we mentioned, his turmoil of a night, up, down, and then up again.
And looking down the order, Michael Goodman comes home in sixth, Justin Colbin seventh, Cogswell, Miller, and Brady Smith. And of course, James Miller, it's going to be a big hole to climb out of next week at Homestead if he wants the chance to win the championship. Not the night, or not the finish, I should say, that he deserved. Led the most laps. That'll help ease the pain just a touch. Mike Stevens, Alex Boyd, Skylar Nissel on back. A lot of trouble, and of course the heartbreak for Race Clark early in the going. Came into the night leading to points. He will leave 18th after the breakers tripped in his house, so no power for the 22 and no more chance at a championship for him either. We'll be back in just a moment with our top three to talk about the chaos and confusion at the end. We'll be right back. Back live at Phoenix Raceway on Sim TV, here now with our second place finisher in the number 54, Matt Grunberg. Matt, tonight you led 60 laps, a little bit fewer than your teammate, but you two had an all-out brawl, then the late race caution, and then your teammate playing some strategy games, couldn't quite get back to him. 52 thousandths of a second the margin. Take us through those last couple laps.
Yeah, it's the disappointing finish. We had a shot there on the green-white checkered. I went low coming out of two on the first lap on that green-white, and kind of got stuck by Jeffrey. I think if I would have just stayed outside, I could have got a good run coming out of one and two on that opening lap there, and got to his outside, and then ultimately probably made the pass in three and four, and then we would have got the win. But just ended up stuck behind the 98, and then with James coming in on my inside in three and four, kind of slowed us down a little bit more, and then just kind of made a last-ditch effort there in three and four on the last lap to get alongside of him, and just kind of misjudged the timing on throttling up and got a little tight and had to let off, and that was the decider right there. But had good speed. Unfortunate the way cautions fell tonight and the pit strategy. I think we could have got a big win here, and that would have helped us in the Homestead. Would have put us in a better position with the 3 extra bonus points for winning. But we'll go to Homestead, and we'll do all we can, and hopefully we can bring home the championship.
Well, it'll be a couple points away. Matt, congratulations on a second. It was a great battle there at the end. Good luck to you at Homestead for the championship next week.
Thank you.
Drew Eisenman came home in third place, and while you were following the battles most of the night, you come home in third, and you're still a discussion in the championship fight heading into Homestead. Tell us about your night here at Phoenix, and how realistic is a championship next week at the 1.5 mile Homestead Speedway?
I mean, I got a shot, and that's all I can really ask for. I had no time to practice this week. I had a final today. It's in the midst of finals. I've had no time to practice. So I was really worried coming into this race. And I think third's about as good as I could have done. I would have liked to try two like Jeff did. I just didn't think that would work. So props to him. But I felt like, that's like I finished basically where I think I should have finished had that late caution come out, which was unfortunate. I was not happy about. But man, the 09 and the 54 just had their tires figured out. And then, Jeff did a really, really smart move, because I think that was his best shot. I didn't want to throw away third, but he was kind of down right at the tail end of the top 5. So I think he had a little bit less to lose. So he just nailed it. And I'm pretty happy with third, though. We got a shot going into Homestead.
Drew, congratulations. It was a strong run for you tonight. Good luck to you next week at Homestead. We'll see you there and talk to you.
Wow.
Moving on now to our race winner, Jeffrey Fisher, his second this season by 52 thousandths of a second. You finished third 4 times consecutively earlier in the season. How good does it feel to finally get another victory and by that close over your teammate? That's got to feel really, really good.
Yeah, it just feels good to finally win on a normal track instead of a restrictor plate. Yeah, that was crazy coming out of fourth, Matt. I don't know how I really did it with 2 tires. Yeah, I really don't know what just happened. It doesn't seem real.
Of course, the choice to go 2 tires on that final stop, was that just sort of a decision you made in the moment, or was that something you were planning on doing if you were to get a late race caution, just to grab some track position there towards the end?
Hello?
Yeah, was there a decision to make a 2-tire stop or was that a conscious decision, or was that something you made in advance pending a yellow flag?
I didn't hear a thing. You just said it cut out after you asked me that first question. I'm sorry.
You're good. Basically, I guess the question was tires, the 2-tire call. Was that a call that you made in advance to the caution flag, or was that something that you made when you were down there on pit lane?
That's something I made in advance because there was 2 guys in front of me, and the guy that was the second car in front of me would not close the gap to James and Matt. That just have a normal heads-up pit stop, so I was like, screw it, I'm just going to take 2 tires. I've done it a couple times. I have snuck wins by taking 2 tires here and there. That's how I won at my last time I raced at Homestead. I did the same thing and won. So, no, I knew I was going to do it. I was just waiting for the perfect time, and then it was all about just holding my 2 teammates off that are incredibly fast and scary to have them in your mirror.
Well, Jeff, congratulations. Good luck to you next week at Homestead. You put yourself in the fight for the championship. Good luck to you there. We'll see you.
Thanks, man.
And with that, that'll wrap things up here from Phoenix. Finian, thanks for joining me tonight. Kind of a mundane race with a wild ending. That's sort of how Talladega was last week as well. A little bit more excitement towards the middle, but a championship fight between mostly teammates heading into the last race of the season. You're muted, by the way. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. Or you're gone. That too. I think we're going to do that. We're going to wrap up the broadcast here. I think Finian had to bail, so we're going to wrap things up, and we'll see you next week for the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. And we'll see you next on SimTV tomorrow night on Grid Life for the FCP Euro Tour with the VW Beetle from Olton Park. Thanks for watching.